Hello and welcome back to another Bad Movie Reviews review hosted by your favourite master film lover from Down Under, Ben. And I'm reviewing the latest film in the Masters of the Universe saga, the reboot as you could say. Now, if you're not familiar, this is obviously based on the hit TV show, the cartoon back in the early 80s. I think there was also obviously the live action film in 1987 or 6 with Dolph Lundgren, and this is obviously bringing it into the new generation. Now, I'll be honest, I don't really know much about the Masters of the Universe or He-Man, apart from obviously the characters. Obviously, it was a little bit before my time, and I haven't really watched too much. I have seen the '87 movie, but that's really about all I know for this film, for this franchise. To be honest, obviously you've got all the internet memes, the hey hey and the Skeletor memes, and that's probably where I know where my capacity of knowledge for this is. So going into this, I didn't know much. I was interested purely just to the talent attached. If you're not familiar, this film is directed by Travis Knight, who is actually the son of the founder of Nike, so a bit mental, but he found Leica Studios. Now, Leica Studios are one of the film companies that I adore most. I love stop motion. They obviously made Coraline, Paranorman, Box Trolls, films like that. Kubo and the Two Strings, which was back in 2016, which Travis Knight actually directed, which is one of my favorite animated films that I've seen in quite some time, even of that year. And he also directed Bumblebee, which is obviously the 2019 film. I think it was around there, 2018, 19, with Haley Steinfeld, obviously the side quest story within the Transformers universe, which I was actually quite a fan of. And as soon as I saw him attached, I was intrigued, to say the least, just because I'm a fan of his work. And obviously this is coming from someone who knows very little about it, so I don't know if it obviously does it justice or holds up well, or to obviously what the animated show is. But I'm happy to say I had so much fun with this. This is a film that really caught me off guard. I didn't know much going in, as I said, but it is so much fun. Firstly, the cast here are genuinely great. I think Nicholas Galitzine, I believe that's how you pronounce it, who I've probably only really seen in The Sheep Detectives, which obviously I reviewed earlier this year, the Idea review with Anne Hathaway, and Bottoms back a couple of years ago. You've obviously got Camila Mendes, who I only really know from Palm Springs, but she's obviously in Riverdale, which is a huge success. Idris Elba is obviously always great. Jared Leto, and I hate to say it because obviously there's a lot of info about him as a person, but his performance as Skeletor might be one of my favourite of the year. Probably the most memorable villain's performances that I can remember. You can tell he's having so much fun and he's so good with the material he has, and it is hilarious, genuinely hilarious at times. The film, now as I said, I don't know if this is like the actual show by any means, but the film genuinely just works so well. It does feel ripped out of a comic book, or not even a comic book, a comic animated series in a sense. It really just turns it to 100. It doesn't really try and hold back by any means. It is cheesy, it is camp, it is so much fun. It might be one of the most colourful films I've seen in quite some time. I was lucky enough to see this in a new cinema in Melbourne, which is, they call it Apex, so I believe it's a new screen, so maybe that's why, but the technology there, I don't know anything about, but the visuals of the film looked genuinely incredible. It's just very much committed to being fully mental, and it just really works. It's somewhat very down to earth in what it's trying to do as well. The story itself doesn't really reinvent the wheel or change anything up. It's very much a story that is somewhat, not necessarily bare bones, but just as straightforward as you can get. But I think what works is it's an introduction to these characters. Obviously, we've potentially not seen these characters for 30 years from my knowledge. And it's just so much fun. Everyone's having fun here. The direction by Travis Knight, in my opinion, is in a character of its own. Some of the sequences do feel ripped genuinely out of an animated show, like what he's able to do with the camera work during some of the fight sequences and the action scenes really, really work. And I think they definitely picked the right director here, but it's just so unapologetically itself. And the best way I can put it is, if you enjoyed Dungeons and Dragons, which I was actually a big fan of, I had a lot of fun, completely underrated movie. I'm upset it didn't succeed as much as I wanted it to, because I'd love a sequel. I hope this film succeeds really well and gets a sequel. It definitely, it is a possibility. But it does feel like that Dungeons and Dragons, Guardians type film where it's a team of misfits that are banding together, that is camp, it is funny, the action sequences are great, everyone's really likable, and it's just a ball of a time. I think it's an underrated, well, I hope it's not underrated. I feel like it should be appropriately rated, but I feel like it's one of those blockbuster films coming out in June that could really, really do well. And I think introducing it to that next generation, I feel like everyone can enjoy this. It's an extremely fun, light-hearted film. It does overstay its welcome in a few places. It does take a little while to get going with, obviously, the backstory and introduction of these characters. I think it clocks in at like 2 hours 20 or so. So it is a little bit on the lengthy side, but overall, I genuinely had so much fun with this film. I'd recommend it to everyone. Do I think it's the best film of the year? No, but it works so well. It just is itself in every way, shape, and form, and it really commits to it, and I got to give that props. But if you have seen it, comment below, let me know what you think. If you like the review, give us a like, follow us more, and I'll catch you next time.